Have you ever, like, just sat back and watched how people interact?
Oh, yeah.
And, you see who gets their way, who kind of fades into the background.
Yeah, yeah.
And ever think, like, there's got to be some kind of playbook here, like some timeless strategies going on.
It's like a dance, right?
Totally.
It is. There's a lot going on beneath the surface.
Exactly.
And, that's kind of the curiosity we tap into in this deep dive. It's that, that sense that there's more to it, that there's something else happening here. It's a universal feeling, I think.
Right. And today, we're doing that with a deep dive into some seriously enduring and, let's face it, sometimes surprising principles. I'm talking about power and influence. And we're getting this all from the book, The 48 Laws of Power. And this book is fascinating because it pulls from such a diverse range of, like, historical examples and observations on human behavior. I mean, think about it. Centuries of maneuvering all boiled down into this one book.
So we're giving you the fast track.
Exactly. We're cutting out all the noise and just getting to those, like, oh, wow, moments, those light bulb moments that you can actually take away and use to understand these dynamics that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to walk away with a better understanding of why things happen the way they do.
Yeah.
We want to give you a fresh lens for seeing the world and maybe even navigating it a little bit more strategically.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So let's jump in. First up, law number 6, court attention at all costs. This one really highlights something interesting. The book really gets to the truth of it, which is that unseen qualities, they don't count for anything. Don't just blend into the background. You need to stand out. You need to be noticeable.
It's so true, though. It doesn't even matter if you have the best idea if nobody even notices you're there.
Exactly.
It's about getting a seat at the table.
Right.
And making sure your voice gets heard.
So how do you do that? Well, the book suggests a few things. Make yourself a magnet of attention. Well, it says you should appear larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the norm.
More mysterious.
Mysterious.
Yeah.
And, think about it. In today's world, right?
Yeah.
It's so saturated with information.
Yeah.
How do you make sure your message gets heard? It's got to be something different.
Well, think about how often you're sizing people up, right?
Oh, yeah.
When you first meet someone, you're making those judgments. The way they're dressed, how they carry themselves.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. And this law is saying others are doing that to you, too.
Oh, for sure.
So why not shape that impression to your advantage?
Right.
It's not about being fake. It's about being intentional.
Totally.
Like, picture this. Someone walks into a meeting looking a mess versus someone who's sharp, put together.
Oh, huge difference.
Right. Who are you going to take more seriously right off the bat? It's just human nature.
Yeah. And this whole mystery thing, it's kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
You think about some of the best leaders, they don't reveal everything all at once, right? They keep people guessing.
Keeps you on your toes.
Right. And that can be really powerful in itself.
It really can.
Okay. Let's move on to law number 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit.
Oof. This one's a little ethically gray area, isn't it?
A little bit.
But, hey, the book is about power, right? So let's be real. It's a very pragmatic observation. It's about how things often go down in the real world.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. It's about using the skills, the knowledge, and the effort of other people to advance your own goals. Straight up.
It's kind of like playing the game strategically. And the rationale behind it.
What's the payoff?
Exactly. Is that it saves you valuable time and energy, giving you this kind of aura, like you're super efficient, super fast.
Right. It's all about perception.
It is.
You look like someone who gets things done, even if you're not the one actually doing all the doing, if you know what I mean.
You're the maestro.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it.
You're orchestrating it.
You are.
Now, the important part here, and this is where the ethics come in. Yes, the catch. Always take the credit.
Right. Don't let anyone forget who's in charge.
Think about how many times you've seen a boss or a leader taking all the praise for a project that was a team effort.
Oh, all the time.
It's a classic power move, even though, like you said, ethically, it might feel a little icky.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It happens.
But it's real.
Uh,
Okay, now Law 12 takes a completely different approach. This one is use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Sounds a little sneaky.
It's a long game, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about brute force. It's about subtlety. It's about planting seeds.
It is. And what's fascinating here is that it suggests that one well-placed, sincere act can be way more powerful than always trying to deceive people.
Yeah, if you're always lying, no one's ever going to believe you.
Exactly. It's about building this facade of trust.
Right.
Even if ultimately that trust might be a means to an end.
It's a means to an end, that's right.
So think about it. It's a well-timed, generous gesture, a moment of what seems like genuine openness. And it disarms people.
Right.
They're like, oh, I can trust this person.
Their guard is down.
Right.
And that's when you strike.
And that's where you strike. And the excerpt even uses the example of the Trojan horse.
The classic, a gift that's not really a gift.
A gift with an ulterior motive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it makes you think, how do you tell the difference in your own life, right?
Oh, it's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you know when someone's being truly kind and when they're just playing you?
It's tough. Okay. On that note, let's move on to law number 13, which is, when asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. This one is all about understanding what makes people tick.
It's Psychology 101.
It really is. And the book is very direct about this. It's like, if you need someone on your side, don't waste your time bringing up past favors.
No, it doesn't work. People don't want to feel obligated.
Right. They'll find a way to tune you out.
Exactly. You got to appeal to what's in it for them.
What's in it for them?
Exactly.
Well, W.Y. Hammond, what's in it for me?
That's the key.
It's all about framing your request in a way that benefits them. So the excerpt uses this great example. It talks about the Athenians, right?
The Athenians.
And how they chose allies.
Right.
Not based on some sense of obligation,
Yeah.
right? Because in the past, people have helped them.
Yeah.
But rather where their own power was best served.
Pragmatic. Very
It's
pragmatic.
a pure pragmatism.
Yeah.
And then there's that great story about Yelu Chucai, who saved the Chinese.
Remind me.
Yeah, by appealing to Genghis Khan's economic self-interest.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Smart move.
He didn't plead for mercy.
No.
He said, look, if you preserve this society, its artisans, it'll actually make you more money.
Yeah. He found common ground. He appealed to what Genghis Khan really cared about.
Exactly.
Which was power, let's be honest.
So, yeah, less about emotion,
Right.
more about really tapping into their core drivers.
It's a good lesson for all of us. When you need something from someone, figure out what they get out of it. Yeah, exactly. And that leads perfectly into law number 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. In today's world, with all the information flying around,
Oh, this one is huge.
this is major.
It's all about intelligence, isn't it?
It really is, because knowing about your rivals, understanding their weaknesses, their plans, I mean, that's a massive advantage.
Always has been.
And the book is advocating for using spies to gather information.
Classic spy stuff. You know, get the inside scoop, stay ahead of the game.
It's like having insider knowledge in a really competitive situation.
It's like playing poker and seeing everyone's cards.
Exactly. It's about knowing the landscape better than everyone else.
And it doesn't have to be literal spying.
Right.
Think about business, competitive intelligence, market research. That's all part of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Even in your personal life, right? Reading social cues, figuring out the unspoken dynamics.
Yeah.
It's all about knowledge being power. So how well do you know the key players in your own life?
That's a great question. Okay, now let's talk about visibility. This is law number 17. Keep others in suspended terror, cultivate an air of unpredictability. But we're also going to talk about its transgression, which is actually about the safety and danger of crowds. And it seems a little contradictory at first.
So how do we reconcile those two?
Well, law number 17 emphasizes the power of unpredictability.
Okay.
It says that behavior that's inconsistent, that doesn't have a clear purpose, it keeps people off balance, and they'll just exhaust themselves trying to figure you out. Think of it like a chess player, right?
Yeah.
Who just makes these unexpected moves. It completely throws off their opponent.
Right. Or like a negotiator who suddenly switches their demands.
Exactly. The other side can't get a foothold.
Right.
Now, the transgression warns about being completely isolated. So being unpredictable, that's a strength, but withdrawing entirely, that's a weakness.
Okay. So there's a sweet spot.
Exactly. And the book uses the example of Qin Shi Huangdi, who was the first emperor of China.
Yeah.
And he became so isolated that he actually lost control.
So you want to be unpredictable enough to keep people guessing, but not so much that you lose touch with what's going on.
Right. It's like circulating, being present, but always keeping them on their toes.
Okay. So where do you fall on that spectrum? Are you more of a lone wolf, or do you like to be in the thick of things?
That's a good question. Okay, now law number 18 brings us back to understanding individual differences.
Okay.
It's do not offend the wrong person, which sounds obvious, right?
Yeah, don't make enemies.
But the consequences of ignoring this can be big. And what the law is saying is that you can't assume that everyone's going to react the same way to your strategies.
Yeah, different people are going to have different buttons you can push.
Right. So the book uses the example of the ruler of Cheng.
What happened?
He underestimated this guy, Prince Chengger. He thought he was weak, made what he thought was a minor slight.
Yeah.
But it ended up having huge consequences.
No, never underestimate anyone. You never know who might rise to power.
Right. It's like first impressions can be deceiving. So the law suggests swallow your pride, avoid giving offense, even if the person seems unimportant.
It's about playing the long game, right? You never know how things are going to unfold. So do you think about the long-term impact of how you treat people?
I try to. It's hard sometimes, though.
It is. It's hard to see the big picture when you're in the moment.
Totally. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about timing. This is law number 33. Master the art of timing. It's not just what you do, but when you do it.
Timing is everything.
Everything. And this one cautions against appearing rushed. Because when you're in a hurry, it makes you look like you're not in control.
Right, like you're panicking, reacting instead of leading.
Exactly. So cultivate patience. Be like the musician who knows exactly when to hit that note for maximum impact.
Perfect analogy.
Become a detective of the right moment. Understand the trends, know when to hold back and when to strike.
Do the predator, not the prey.
Exactly. So how good are you at reading those cues that tell you it's the right time to make a move?
It's a skill, that's for sure. And I think it comes with experience. The more you observe, the better you get at sensing those opportunities.
Totally. Okay. Now, what about when you can't have something you really want? Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge.
Oh, that's hard.
It is hard. Because our natural inclination is to want what we can't have even more.
It's human nature.
But the book says fixating on it actually gives it power over you.
Yeah, you're letting it control you.
Exactly. And the more attention you give your enemy, the stronger they become.
So ignore them. Starve them of your attention.
It's like that saying, right? The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference.
Exactly.
It's about staying calm and objective, especially when you're dealing with someone who's trying to get under your skin.
Right. Don't let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
And if you can stay calm while they're losing their cool, you already won half the battle.
You've got the upper hand.
You do. It's about disrupting their strategy by not playing their game. So think about it. How often do you get sucked into fighting over things you can't control?
More often than I'd like to admit.
It's a trap we all fall into sometimes.
Okay, let's talk about something we all encounter. Free stuff.
Ooh, free stuff.
Law 40 says, despise the free lunch.
There's no such thing as a free lunch. My grandma used to say that.
Exactly. There's always a hidden cost.
Always.
And the book warns about this. It says that free stuff is dangerous.
Right.
Because it usually comes with either a trick or a hidden obligation.
Like those free trials that end up costing you a fortune.
Exactly. So by paying your own way, you stay independent.
You're not beholden to anyone.
You avoid getting tangled up in gratitude and guilt and all that.
It's about maintaining your autonomy.
Exactly. And sometimes the book even suggests that you should pay the full price.
Meaning?
That cutting corners on quality or accepting favors, it can actually cost you more in the long run.
You get what you pay for.
Exactly. So true power, it comes from self-reliance.
It does.
Okay, what about following in the footsteps of greatness?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes.
Especially in family businesses, right?
Oh, yeah. Or any situation where you're replacing a legend. Because you're always going to be compared to them.
Yeah. And whatever they did first, it's going to seem better, more original.
Exactly. So to outshine them, you have to do even more, and you have to do it differently.
You got to blaze your own trail.
And this law cautions against just copying them. It says, establish your own identity.
Be your own person.
Be your own person. The book uses Napoleon III as an example.
He had a tough act to follow.
Yeah, Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah.
And he deliberately tried to distance himself.
He had to create his own legacy.
He had to create his own thing.
So how aware are you of the shadows cast by those who came before you? Are you trying to step out of them, or are you embracing them?
Interesting. I never thought about it that way. Okay, last but not least, this one's about the double-edged sword of seeking universal love.
So wanting everyone to like you.
Right. And the book presents this as a reversal of Law 43. And it cautions against trying to please everyone.
Yeah, you can't be all things to all people.
Exactly. It just dilutes your power. And what the book is saying is that when you try to be liked by everybody, you actually lose respect.
You become a people pleaser.
You become a people pleaser. You're so dependent on approval that you're easy to manipulate.
Like a politician trying to win every single vote.
Right, you end up pleasing no one.
They stand for nothing. They just flip-flop depending on who they're talking to.
So instead of chasing everyone's affection, focus on genuine respect. Be selective about who you try to please.
Quality over quantity.
Right, because trying to be everyone's friend leaves you with no real allies and zero real influence.
It's about having strong convictions and standing by them, even if it means some people won't like you.
Totally. So, wow, we just covered a lot. We talked about the importance of how you're perceived.
First impressions matter.
Absolutely. We talked about leveraging the work of others.
Strategically, of course.
Strategically. The power of honesty, but being selective about it. Understanding self-interest, the value of information, the dangers of being too visible or too invisible.
It's a delicate balance.
Really is. Knowing your audience, timing everything right, and the surprising strength in ignoring what you can't have. We even touched on those freebies.
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
And the challenges of stepping into someone else's shoes. And finally, the trap of trying to please everyone.
So what's the takeaway here? I think the core message is that power dynamics are complex. They're often hidden. And understanding these principles, these laws, it gives you a new way to look at the world.
Right. So for you, the listener, the person who wants to grasp all this quickly but thoroughly,
Yeah.
a few things really stand out. The first impression, it matters.
Big time.
A few well-placed acts of apparent sincerity can be really effective.
Yeah.
And always try to understand what motivates the other person.
Figure out their why.
Yeah, exactly. So these laws, they're a little intense, I'm not going to lie.
They're real.
But they offer a powerful way to see the world around you.
And to navigate it more effectively.
So think about it. Have you seen any of these principles at play in your own life, whether consciously or unconsciously?
They're everywhere if you start looking for them.
And what could you gain by using even just one of these insights?
Experiment. See what happens.
Become more aware of the game, right? Because by understanding the principles, you're giving yourself a huge advantage. You're understanding the dynamics.
It's like having a secret weapon.
Yeah. So go out there and use it wisely.
Use it wisely.